The evolution of ornament spans all cultures and all of human history. Shared ways to generate pattern are found all around the world. Universal principles underlie diverse styles and icons that speak to particular times and traditions. Dots, stripes, grids, lines provide the architecture behind an infinite range of designs. By composing a single element in different schemes, the designer can create endless variations, building complexity around a logical core. Styles and motifs of pattern making evolve within and among cultures, and they move in and out of fashion. Pattern is a consistent repetition of a single visual unit or element within a given area or format. In all cases, there must be systematic repetition with obvious directional movement. An interesting aspect of pattern is that the viewer anticipates a sequence. When we examine patterns, we notice that their structures rely on the configuration of three basic building blocks: dots, lines, and grids. In a pattern, any individual small unit, whether non-objective, for instance an organic kind of shape, or representational, perhaps something like a leaf, can be based on the dot or point. Any moving path is based on lines, also called stripes when it comes to patterns. Any two intersecting units yields a patterned grid. If we refer back to the common checkerboard, the very first image we saw, we see a figure ground reversal created by an all-over pattern. That balanced design is called crystallographic balance. All-over patterns will serve as graphic design solutions in and of themselves. In the 20th century, modern designers avoided ornate detail in favour of minimal adornment. In 1908, the Viennese design critic Adolf Loos famously conflated ornament and crime. He linked the human lust for decoration with primitive tattoos and criminal behaviour. What a jerk. Yet despite the modern distaste for ornament, the structural analysis of pattern is central to modern design theory. In 1856, Owen Jones created his monumental Grammar of Ornament, documenting decorative vocabularies from around the world. The book encouraged Western designers to copy and reinterpret exotic, in inverted commas, motifs from Asia and Africa, but it also helped them to recognize principles that unite an endlessly diverse variety of forms. Perhaps you would call that cultural appropriation. Today, surface pattern is creating a vibrant discourse. The rebirth of ornament is linked to the revival of craft in architecture, products, and interiors, as well as to scientific views of how life emerges from the interaction of simple rules. Decorative forms presented embrace a mix of formal structure and organic irregularity. They meld individual authorship with rule-based systems, and they merge formal abstraction with personal narrative. By understanding how to produce patterns, designers learn how to weave complexity out of elementary structures, participating in the world's most ancient and prevalent artistic practice. In the 19th century, designers began analysing how patterns are made. They found that nearly any pattern arises from those three basic forms: isolated elements, linear elements, and the crisscrossing or intersection of the two, which is where a pattern is created. Various terms have been used to name these elementary conditions, which we have referred to as dots, stripes, grids, and line. Any isolated form can be considered a dot, from a simple circle to an ornate flower. A stripe or line, in contrast, is a linear path. It can consist of a straight, solid line, or it can be built up from smaller elements, i.e. dots, that link together visually to form a line. These two basic structures, dots and stripes or lines, interact to form grids. As a grid takes shape, it subverts the identity of the separate elements in favour of a larger texture. Indeed, creating that larger texture is what pattern design is all about. Whether rendered by hand, machine, or code, a pattern results from repetition. An army of dots can be regulated by a rigid geometric grid, or it can be randomly swarmed across a surface via irregular handmade marks. It can spread out in a continuous veil or concentrate its forces in pockets of intensity. In every instance, however, patterns follow some repetitive principle, whether dictated by a mechanical grid, a digital algorithm, or the physical rhythm of a craftsperson's tools as they work along a surface.